Yo, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Bthekid Podcast, where we keep it raw, real, and all the way authentic. Today's episode is something special. We're not just talking to a father. We're talking to a father of a rising rap star. We're talking to the man behind the scenes, the backbone, the protector, the one who helped shape that Mexican OT into who he is today. He's been through the trenches, paid the price, found redemption, is now standing beside his son, not just as a bodyguard, but as a father, a guide, and a living testimony to growth. Please welcome to the mic, Carlos Moreno, father of the Mexican OT.
Pleasure, man. Thank
Much
you
love for coming
today.
popping out, man. You want to give him some backstory about you?
From Bay City, Texas, reside in Austin, Texas, the greatest place in the U.S., in my opinion.
6th Street.
And, I'm trying to be on the innovative side of life.
Yeah.
And whatever that is,
Okay.
constantly.
Yeah. That's facts. What was your childhood like growing up?
I came from a pretty stable home, but I always chose to be an outlaw. I've always considered myself an outlaw. Never been a villain. And just lived a pattern of life like that. Put myself through hell. Everything I've ever, anything that's ever went wrong in my life, I was the total contributor of it.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I remember being a kid and thinking that it's impossible to stay out of trouble. And then when you do all these years in prison, you come home and you're like, it's easy to stay out of trouble.
Yeah. Me on my end, I just got in trouble last year. I have a daughter. She just turned 7 on Cinco de Mayo. I had her when I was 17 when I had her. I'm 24 now. She kept me straight, but I had some people that didn't like me, and they fucked up my life in the whole year. But I'm on the redemption path right now.
Live in the solution, man. It's easy to live in the problem, but nothing changes till you decide to live in the solution.
Exactly. That's why I'm just like now I'm learning everything has a solution. Being
a man, man can't live in problems.
Yeah.
You did it's our duty to constantly live in the solution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of household did you come from? Was it strict, loving, or what?
The combination of all of those. I had a very healthy fear of my parents. I was terrified of them. I was just telling somebody the other day that I literally can only remember one time I ever disrespected my mother.
Yeah.
And when that happened, man, my dad slapped the dog shit out of me. And even though I was already bigger than him, I respected him enough to never pick a hand up to me. I couldn't even imagine being violent or disrespectful to to an elder, especially my parents. Because I remember being a kid growing up and we were broke, but I felt rich. Because we had all the necessities. I was buying my clothes from Kmart. And my dad would buy different color shoes to jazz them up to make them feel like they were Nikes, but at that time, they were just ponies. So we had everything we needed, not necessarily everything we wanted, but absolutely had everything I needed.
Yeah, same. I come from a single house parent. My mom, before she passed away in 2020, she's always been hard on me and telling me whatever I put my mind to, I could achieve. So now that I'm actually taking everything serious, it's magic.
And it's when you start executing in life, you realize how easy life really is. Because if you're living in progression, there's no regression.
Yeah.
Because for the human body, if you stay out, imagine not going to work or not going to the gym for days at a time. If you add up those days that you miss these things, you're going to be broke and out of shape. The human body wants to be in progression, and the only way for it to stay in progression is to keep pressure on it, whether it be physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. Keep pressure on yourself, because that's the only thing that's going to keep you, winning.
Yeah.
Because there's no day that you cross the winning lead, like, I won life today. I just don't that's not how life works, bro. Yeah. It's a constant struggle, but when you find success is when you finally realize that the struggle is the beautiful part about it. The win is not the beautiful part, it's the struggle.
Yeah.
Like, I want more pressure. Give me more shit.
Yeah.
Give me more pressure. Give me more weight. You know, give me more.
Yeah.
Because that's what shows me how unbreakable I am.
Okay, personal question. How do you guide yourself through a storm you're having, or that you did have? How did you realize to get through it?
I was just telling there's a guy earlier, look, there's 3 stages in life that you're constantly in. You're either on your way into a storm, in a storm, or on your way out of a storm. Mm-hmm. You're never not in one of those 3 stages of life. Mm-hmm. And, man, it's important to just constantly remember that, like, today ain't the day today ain't the day I'm gonna fucking break.
Yeah.
Because there's so many times, you know, I did over half a decade in prison and I did 2.5 years in SEG. Man, I power cried every day. And then I hit the floor, I pray, I meditate, and I stay on a routine.
Yeah.
Because if I don't have a routine, my life's chaotic.
Yeah.
You dig? Mm-hmm. And, you know, I create my own hustle, so I create my own times.
Yeah.
So again, that for me, being a boss, you have to do, you know, boss shit. And that means doing what you don't want to do and doing it with a smile.
Yeah.
You know, I told my son this whole life, I'm like, son, you know what? If you don't ever want me or anybody to tell you what to do, then do what you know you need to do. Because everybody knows what they need to do in life. But they're fucking too lazy to do it. Right. And it's for their self. As a coach, you know what the biggest heartbreak was? Believing in people more than they believe in themselves.
That's true.
The best investment any human being could ever make is in their self. When you look good, you feel good, you know what happens? You get fucking rich. You want to know why? Because that energy, when you look and feel good, is going to be so vibrant that shit is just going to fall into place with you. And then you just got to ride that energy. And the only way you ride that energy is to stay under pressure. Pressure is the most beautiful thing a human being could ever encounter. Mm-hmm. Again, whether it be physical, emotional, spiritual, mental, keep pressure on.
Yeah, like I said, I just went through pressure for an entire 1.5 years when I couldn't see my daughter. And everyone was like trying to stop me, and everyone wanted me to do prison time. And I got out of it, you know, and everything landed in place. And now I have the potential to follow my dreams with the podcast and music.
Everything just falls into place when you're on your path in life. So when you find purpose, man, that's when you're going to be your best. Mm-hmm. Because now you understand your purpose, and now you just got to execute it every day. Mm-hmm. And once you get that intrinsic motivation, nobody could ever rob that from you. Yeah. You know, and man, stay intrinsically motivated and live in action. Who cares what kind of a game plan you have? If you're not executing shit, so what? Mm-hmm. Just wake up, fuck a game plan. Just wake up and execute some shit. You know, if you execute one thing a day for 30 days, that means you're an accomplishing person. Mm-hmm. And it could be from the smallest thing of like making your bed, brushing your teeth. Just do the simple things every day so that all the big things just start to fall in place for you. Yeah. Don't be fucking lazy, bro. You know what? Get out of your feelings, because, you know, nobody ever feels like doing anything, but you just do it. Yeah. You know, like, fucking, if it was easy, everybody would be badass. Everybody's not badass for a reason. Yeah. You know, it takes effort. And if you're constantly worried about what everybody else is doing around you, you're never going to make maximum effort in your own life.
I'll fuck with that. That's facts right there. Yeah. So let's move on before, life before OT's fame. What were you doing before you...
Coaching.
Coaching? Football?
Yeah. No, coaching everything from diet to fitness to fight.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, you had anyone, like, ever go, like, professional, like, fights at all?
Yeah, used to work with barrio. I mean, I'm trained with Tim Kennedy. I'm trained with, man, a lot of the guys you see in the UFC, pro boxing. You know, but I lost my prime in prison. Yeah. You know, so I come home and I'm still super active with it, but now it's on the, you know, the coaching side. I mean, I'm 50 years old. Yeah. You know.
My uncle is Miguel Cotto.
Okay, I know exactly what that is.
That's one of my uncles from New York. But, what was your personal dream before everything else happened?
Before what happened? Before going to prison, before having a kid? Or
yeah. Well, let's do prison and before having a kid. When you're young, in the prime, 22, what was your dreams?
Man, travel the world. At that time, I was competing. Stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
Like my son just dropped that new song with Lil Wayne, and he's in that verse. He's like, I feel like Chuck in '98. And to me, that's like me before I had any of the pressure of being a father, being a provider, being a protector. Because by nature, I've always been a protector.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to have peace, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Just being able to find peace and just know that everybody around me is okay.
Yeah.
Really simple, bro. I don't ask for a lot out of life. I just want to be loved like everybody else and have peace like everybody else.
Yeah. My dreams right now is to make it big so I can just be with my daughter and hop on a plane and go to the beach when I want.
As long as you're executing everything that you should do in life to fulfill your purpose, that money shit's gonna come.
Yeah.
Don't ever let your direction be chasing money. Chase purpose.
Yeah.
Because with purpose, everything's gonna fall in place. For me, coaching, training, all of these things with the physical, learning my body, getting the mind-body connection, that saved my life.
Yeah.
Music saved my son's life. If my son wasn't doing music, he probably wouldn't be shit. Because I wanted him to go to the military. That was the original plan. And, I remember my son was like, I'm moving out. And I was doing a 3-year project for Exxon in Baytown because by trade, I'm an I&D tech. So from 17, 18, 19, I moved to Baytown. I was working on a project for Exxon over there.
Yeah.
And my ex, Monica, who helped me raise my son, man, I'm respect and immense gratitude to her. Because she sacrificed a lifetime to raise a child that wasn't even her blood, but raised them like blood.
Yeah.
I remember she called me, she's like, Virgil ran away, moved down and left. So I stopped everything. I drove from Houston back to Austin. The next day, when he was getting out of school, we picked him up. And I had packed up his bag, got his debit card, because at that time he was working 2 jobs, going to work, going to school. And, and so we picked him up from school and we took him to dinner and I gave him his bag, his debit card, some money. And I was like, look, son, everything in me wants me to tell you can't move out. But this is actually the first executive decision you've ever made as a young man. And who am I to stop that? Because before that point, every time I asked my son, what do you want to eat? I don't know, Dad, whatever you want to eat. What do you want to watch? I don't know, Dad, whatever you want to watch. What do you want to do? I don't know, Dad, whatever you want to do. He never took the initiative to say, what I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, So it actually made me proud when he fucking told me, I'm moving out.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what, son? Everything in me wants me to stop you. But who am I to stop that when this is the first actual decision you've ever made as a young man? And he moved out and he never came back. Look where he's at now.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's beautiful.
And you know what? It was scary for me, man. You know what I told him? Like, son, I always have an extra bedroom for me. So every time I'm in all of my homes, there's an extra bedroom for me to come to. Always. And I told him that my house is a revolving door for you. You can come as you please. And I just like, when people tell me, oh, you must be so proud of him. I am proud of him. But not proud because he's successful because I expected the success. I'm proud of my son for how well he handles the success. And it's a lot.
It is.
It's a lot. And he is so much like me, but I see a lot of his mother in him too. And it's just the blood. The blood will never lie.
Yeah.
I was away from him for all these years in prison, and I come home and I'm like, dude, our mannerisms are exactly the same. And it just makes me feel good. The best thing about being a dad is watching your son, your child, whatever. Be confident.
Yeah.
Be confident. Because when I left this 5 or 4-year-old little boy. And I came home to a broken 11-year-old, and I felt responsible for that. I wasn't there to protect him through all of this shit that he was going through.
Yeah.
And man, it was my duty to make my son believe in himself so fucking much that the world had no choice. I told him that every single day of his life. I called him champ every day of his life because I needed him to think like a fucking winner. I told him, do you even realize the nuts you fucking fell out of? You were born to be great.
Yeah.
And like I couldn't stress it enough to him, and then to finally see him come into himself, and then when I see his stage presence, and then his control and the confidence of who he is today. Bro, that's what makes me proud.
Yeah.
Not the success. I expected the success because I knew how talented he was since he was 5 years old. Dude, he used to write 100 more songs for me every day like it wasn't shit. His ability to be just articulate everyday life is really unmatched right now. There's a lot of great artists in the world, but my son is one of the greatest. And he's been that. Like he was like, my purpose is what I do. I coach, I train, I want to change lives. I want to inspire fallen people. I want to inspire, going to prison and coming home. I just wanted to be an example to my son that healing is possible and retribution is there as long as you're willing to have work for everybody. So what, how talented you are. You know how many people die with badass talent every day? They had all this talent and never executed anything. So when you die, do you want to be that guy that like he had the potential to do this and that and that and that, but he really didn't ever do shit? Yeah. Or do you want them to talk about you like he executed this, he did that, he did that, that. If it was easy, everybody would be badass. Yeah. It takes fucking effort.
That's fucking facts right there. Let's get into your regret, growth, and reputation. What's something you wish you could go back and tell your younger self?
I don't have a lot of regrets.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
As much as it was embarrassing and humiliating for me to go to prison. Like it was, when I got out of prison, I was like humiliated. So I don't understand how people get so proud about being a convict because I was fucking embarrassed about that shit.
Yeah.
Let's see. Man, all the pain that I've been through was worth it. Because then I wouldn't be who I am today.
Yeah.
Like I need pain. I need people to hold me accountable because if you don't, I'm going to take advantage of you. I'm going to walk all over you and I'm going to cut every corner.
Yeah.
But I need you to hold me accountable because I'm absolutely going to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
Like I'm a firm believer that people only do what you allow them to get away with. If you don't let anybody get away with shit, you know what they ever try to do? Not a motherfucking thing.
Yeah.
They'll never try shit. Let your yes be yes and no be no. You keep it very simple.
A lot of people have a hard time saying no all the time.
But dude, I used to spread myself super thin trying to please everybody.
Same.
And I realized like the more you spread yourself out, the easier it is to poke holes into them. And so I had to realize that I had to be selfish and put myself first. Like again, as a coach, see, man, we have the selfish part down. Women, they are natural born givers. So, as I've grown older, I've learned a lot from the people around me, the people in my life, even my mom's husband now. Like, he's the most unconfrontational person ever.
Yeah.
And, I learned from him because I'm super confrontational. Like, because I'm a firm believer that the only thing that makes people change is pain. You put enough pain in a motherfucker's ass and he's going to act right.
Yeah.
You did, whether it be physical, mental, spiritual, emotional. You put enough pain in somebody's life, they're going to change because they're going to be like, I don't want this pain anymore.
Yeah.
You know, every coach I ever had where they told me we need to change their thinking from wanting to hurt you to what the fuck do I need to do to make this pain stop?
Yeah.
Right?
Makes sense, yeah.
And so, in that note, you're living in the solution constantly, not the problem.
Yeah, I tried.
It's okay to have the thoughts of the pain and going through that emotional pain, but you can't let it consume you, bro. You know, like before my son goes on stage, we ritually practice and pray and the reason we do it, he's like, Dad, you know, because I'm sure I couldn't even imagine how nervous it is to get in front of thousands, even in hundreds of people. Imagine 20, 80, 120,000 people to get up there and you're the focal point. I can't even imagine that pressure.
Yeah.
And before his shows, he's like, Dad, it's happening again. I'm like, come on, man, let's go pray. I'm telling him, man, you get, because doubt, fear, anxiety, worry, all of that shit comes from the enemy. The enemy doesn't want you to have peace and victory. So what you do is you get all that doubt, all that fear, all that anxiety, you ball that shit up, and when you get on that stage, that's your fucking superpower. It's your superpower. Because you're either gonna let it catapult you or let it drown you. It's your decision.
Yeah.
You know, life is all perspective. You can either wake up and be all worried and doubtful and negative, or you can wake up fucking vibrant and ready to go fucking get rich. Get rich in life and spirit and finances and health. You can get rich every single day as long as you're making maximum effort in doing what's gonna benefit you the most. You know what the toughest motherfuckers in the world are to me? Is a broke motherfucker that wakes up every day and stays in bed. That's a tough motherfucker. How the fuck are you gonna wake up broke and stay in bed?
Yeah, I know a couple people like that.
And then complain about being broke all the time. Complain about not having shit all the time.
Yeah, or being depressed.
Bro, if you have time to be depressed or anxious, you're not busy enough. Like, bro, I mean, every time, if you're just sitting around the house, go do some push-ups or some squats. Get your heart racing. I promise you, if you get your heart racing, all that shit that was going on here is gonna be clear. Because now you're gonna be getting, like, okay, look, when you make your heart race, what does it push? Blood. What does blood carry? Oxygen. What does the brain need to operate properly? Oxygen.
Yeah.
What's life's number one rule, bro? Never fucking panic.
Yeah.
When you start to panic, you make your heart beat erratically, right? What happens to your brain when your heart's pushing blood in and out real fast?
Because of oxygen.
Oh, you can't think straight. No, stay calm. It's not the end of the world till it's the end of the world. And if it's the end of the world, you don't know anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's the fucking end of the world. Quit treating everything like it's the end of the world. Get out of your emotions. Get out of your feelings. And just remember, if it was easy, everybody would be badass. Yeah. People get compliments. People compliment you and pat you on the back because they see the effort you make in life. It's almost offensive to me when people are like try to come and tell me, "Do you work out? You look good in this and that." I'm like, that's why I do this. You know what I'm saying? Let's figure out why we're not talking about you.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm a bad motherfucker because I do badass shit every day.
Yeah.
You know? It takes effort. It's just effort, bro. I told my son since he was little, that much effort will make you successful. That much. Because really, y'all's generation ain't doing shit.
It's facts.
Everybody, you know what? How can you be a chief and you never even were an Indian? All this new generation, man, everybody wants to just be born to be a chief. You don't even know how to fucking be an Indian.
They don't even put the work in.
Zero work.
No consistency.
No, it's entitlement. You know, when my son was younger, man, I'd get him phones and then he'd get grounded. Like, so he never really had it long. Again, for my son, I just wanted to always inspire thought, right? So I remember I'd come home from the gym and if he was sitting there playing his PlayStation or something, I'd be like, all right, you don't want to be brilliant? I'm going to show you how to be a hard worker. Go get your shit shoes on and let's go. So then he started coming home and he'd be reading books, right? And then eventually it got to the point to where he was like, hey, Dad, can we go to the bookstore? If you're not reading, bro, your mind it's like mush. You know, again, it takes effort emotionally, mentally, spiritually, especially physically.
It's crazy. What was the moment where you knew you earned Mexican T's trust?
I would like to think since the day he was born.
Since the day he was born?
Mm-hmm.
That's nice. Rebuilding the father and son bond. What was your first real heart-to-heart with Bthekid? Like, was it him making the first decision?
I've always talked to my son like an adult, bro.
Yeah.
Ever since he was little, when he would cry, I'd be like, hey, chill. Use your words. I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
As soon as he could do this on a cup, I'll be like, all right, look, you push that chair over there, you get the cup, and I'll get the milk. We do it together, but I'm not doing it for you. Mm-hmm. I wanted him to always know that you can do this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I don't know, man. My son's brilliant, and he's a man of few words, like I am. We're so much alike in so many ways, and it excites me. I don't know if it excites him, but it excites me.
Yeah.
It's like me, yeah.
Well, what is y'all's like best or most memorable moment you ever had with them?
So many, man, because dude, I'd be riding around hitting licks, and he'd be in the passenger seat for hours at a time, just rapping over songs. And I was always so fascinated by it because I couldn't stop singing that song, and he's being creative over it, making legit content.
Yeah.
You know, but you know what? I remember one time it was our first tour before we got a tour bus or anything like that. And I think we had just took a train to Virginia, and we got black cars, and we're driving across to, I think, Philly or Pittsburgh, something like that. And all the guys were passed out in the back, and my son was working on the song, and I'm just driving, smoking, just chilling. And he turns down the music, and he said, Dad, and I was like, what song? He was like, you remember we used to do this shit for free? I'm like, I do. And like, I remember that right there, just, man, it's like, I mean, what parent couldn't just be full of joy watching their child live their fucking dream?
And make it. That was like the I made it moment, you know?
Nah, I remember when he called me, and he was showing me his new apartment. And he's like, guess what, Dad? I'm like, what? He's like, he said, guess how I pay for this? I said, how? He said, rapper money. I'm a real rapper now.
That's I made it moment.
Yeah, and bro, it was just, and all of this even today is still just the beginning.
Yeah, it's facts.
It's still just the beginning.
Just started.
It's just the beginning. And bro, he's not slowing down. He hasn't even, like, look, so he's been making music through pain right now. Imagine when he gets fully happy.
Yeah.
Imagine when he gets fully happy and, you know, like, just lives a little more, because he's only 26 years old. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a grown man and all that, but, you know, for me, that's still a kid. Mm-hmm. You know, you're still in puberty. Literally, legally, scientifically speaking, you're still in puberty.
Yeah, 24.
Take advantage of that. Dude, you know what? Because somebody asked me, if you could be 21 again, would you be 21? Or if you could redo life, would you redo life? I was like, and go through all that pain again? Fuck, no, I'm good. I'm good where I'm at.
Yeah, I made it through it already.
I'm good. Like, I'm good. I'm healed. I'm healing. Dude, life ain't nobody. The hardest lives are gonna be the most beautiful to me. Yeah. You know, when I meet people, I want to know that you've been through some pain. Yeah. If you haven't been through pain, then we're not compatible. Yeah. I need people to know what the struggle is and know that the struggle is not the end of the world.
Yeah. Like I said, my pain, it happened March 9th last year. My family turned against me. I remember back in the day, my bros, they used to get on my ass for bringing women over or doing me and like come out. Now it's a little jealousy behind that, and I had to let it go and move on and leave because they begged me, which hurt, that I healed from. My aunt kicking me and my daughter out because she had no space, and not seeing her for a year has definitely affected me. But now that everything's resolved court-wise and everything, I get to see her now and be in her life. That's all that matters to me. Working, trying to, now that I have more time to podcast, make music, do me like I wanted to do and what I've been saying for the last couple of years. I'm acting that out. So now when I do make it and I have my daughter, it's all worth it. You know?
Yeah, man, because I had a lot of spurts of times where I was disconnected to my son, but it was because of situations in my life, you know, and man, I remember I didn't get to see my son for almost over a year after he moved out. They had violated me and sent me back from 19 to 20, so I did 411 days and came back home. And dude, to this day, because I've always been super affectionate with my son because my dad really wasn't affectionate. Like when I try to play with him, my dad would be like, "Hey, son, men don't play." Because that's that generation where you don't, and I never wanted to grow up and act old. I'm gonna tell you, I'm a grown ass kid.
Yeah.
And fucking let me be. And you know, I wanted to be different, but you know, like when people ask me for parental advice, I'm like, dude, I fucked up everything.
Yeah.
But I told my son always, I was like, you know what, Verge? I was like, you're gonna fuck up and I'm gonna fuck up, but we're gonna get it right together.
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
You know, there's no blueprint to being a parent. It's like there's no blueprint to being a human being. Everybody's gonna have a struggle. Everybody's gonna have a story, and you know it's what you do with your circumstances, because you could be dealt a shitty hand and win life, or you could be dealt an amazing hand and fuck life completely up. You know what I mean? People, and you know, I would rather come from a struggle and create a beautiful life than have everything and fuck it up.
Yeah.
Because people, you know, and it's just, you can't appreciate anything that's ever been given to you. Because you don't even understand, you can't even begin to understand the value of it. Because it was free.
Yeah.
You know? It's free.
It is.
And like, I don't know, bro, you just...
Like I said, when it came to the parenting shit, bro, I felt like when everything caved in on me, I felt like everyone just wanted to see my downfall because the way they portrayed me was so bad. Like, I'm 24, and that's not an excuse.
You know, I'm
to
going to
like,
tell you something. This is what I'm going to say. Look, as long as you are doing actively what you should always be doing, whoever tries to assassinate your character, everything in the dark always comes to the light. Your action in life should be your defense, not your words. Because a pair of lips will say any motherfucking thing.
Yeah.
You dig? And people can accuse and point fingers and do whatever, but most people that are doing that, the most vocal people in the world are usually the ones that are completely wrong.
Yeah.
You know? And you live in the victory of knowing that you're not who that person is, who they're describing you to be. And let your actions provide that.
Yeah.
And prove it, you know?
I fuck with that. I fuck with that.
You did?
Yeah, I fuck with that.
Because no matter what you say, it's just an argument then. There's no solution in words. But there is solution in action.
Yeah.
Nobody can say he's wrong when you're fucking living in action.
Yeah. I love that.
You know?
What's one thing you always tell OT before he does a big show release? I know y'all pray.
Yeah, tell him, man, we're still in the kitchen. When he was walking onto at that time, the biggest stage, I think 85,000+ people at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. And I was like, son, remember, we're still in the kitchen.
Yeah. Still cooking.
Still
gotta cook.
Yeah, I mean, because that's where, you know, in our kitchen, because I would have after hour parties at my house and people would say, oh, I'd like come rap or whatever. I was like, oh, you think you rap? So I'd go upstairs and I'd be like, hey, son, you ready to beat ass? He's like, damn, I got some more. I'm like, man, you go to school. You know you don't give a fuck with us. All right, come on. Yeah, I see that. He'd be walking downstairs, wiping his eyes, and then, dude, he'd have grown-ass man so frustrated they'd want to fight him. Like, son, say whatever you want. I had him like a pit bull. I was like, say whatever you want, because if he lifts a hand, I'm going to punch him through the floor. You know, so, man, just be fearless. I remember one of my boys, Pablo, so we were teaching my son how to swim. He was about 4 years old. And I remember Pablo said, you better be good because we can get the cucuy on you. And my son turned around. He said, I'm not scared of the cucuy. I'm not scared of you. And I'm not scared of my dad.
My God.
Now I'm trying to flip.
What do you do when you're not touring or working? What's your favorite thing to do?
In the gym, coaching people, changing lives. Like without that, I am completely off. I'm the only way I can stay centered is to be given.
Yeah.
Like I just want to be to service of people because I've taken so much for so long. I want to inspire everybody to have the confidence that they believe in themselves so much that the world has no choice.
Yeah.
Everybody should feel like that. Everybody should think like that. And if you don't, it's a problem. You'll never be the human being you were created to be. You know, when we're created in His image, right? If that's what they want to say, then let's say we're created in His image. And if we're created in His image, that means we're God-like. We're not gods, but we're God-like.
Yeah.
And if you're not thinking like a god or goddess being creative in your life, then you're not living up to the expectation of the human being God created you to be. Now you're just a brick of somebody else's building block.
Yeah.
You're going in and clocking in on somebody else's clock. You know, and like, I never wanted to be that person. I'd rather have 10 hustles than one job I hate.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, that's what we all try and do. If you could have your own movie, what would be the name of it?
Chuck against 100 gorillas?
You think you can take on a gorilla, Chuck?
It was 100 Chucks versus one gorilla.
No, 1 gorilla or 100 gorillas versus 1 Chuck.
Nah, I thought that little thing that they just made.
Look at it.
Yeah. You posted it on.
Yeah. I don't know. We're talking earlier because he was like, we're talking about titles of books that I need to write. And he was like, how to not be a bitch in 30 days. How to not be a bitch in 30 days.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. Make a shirt.
Because, bro, so many people are so... Look, so when I went to prison, it was still very like, if we catch eye contact, what's up?
Yeah.
What's up? It's a fight immediately. So when I left the world and I came back after over half a decade, I leave that type of energy and come home to this energy. And when I see people, I'm like, what's up? They're like, oh, hey, man, how you doing? What the fuck? Like, it just, like, bro, like, it's just gotten so fucking soft, bro. And it really turns my stomach to see how soft men have gotten because there are more lesbians today than ever because there's really not no man to turn to. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I'm not gonna get into that. Yeah. I'm just saying it just, you know, because to each their own. If you like it, I love it for you. Just be accountable.
Yeah, be accountable for your actions.
Accountability is everything, bro.
Yeah.
Don't make me feel bad for me. Show me that you're worthy to be respected.
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Because I freely respect everybody. You know why I freely respect everybody? Because that gives me the opportunity to demand it in return.
Yeah.
Because if people disrespect me, it's not because I've been disrespectful. So it's hard to not take that personally.
Yeah.
You know?
Because obviously that person has something against you.
Or he thinks there's something he thought there was some weakness in my meekness, you know? Yeah. I just am trying to be, you know, I just want to be cordial and build bridges everywhere I go, bro.
Shit. So when you're gone, right? When you leave this world and you go to the next, what do you hope people would say about you, Chuck?
I know exactly what they're going to say about me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What do you think they say?
That I live with my purpose. I live for my purpose.
You reached that?
I'm constantly reaching it every day. Remember, there's no finish line.
Yeah, you're right.
So how can I do something badass today and say, I won, and then not do shit tomorrow?
Yeah.
You can't be solid 364 days. It takes that one day, that 365th day, you do some whole ass shit, that whole year, that whole life is dead. Integrity, fortitude, like Accountability, bro. What the world is lacking the most of today is accountability. Nobody wants to be held accountable anymore. You know, when I start telling these people about something they just done, an action they just did that was offensive or wrong, and when I start telling them this, they're like, oh, why are you attacking me? I'm not attacking you. I'm simply saying exactly what you just showed me. Mm-hmm. If I didn't see it, how could I say it? Because I'm not going to fabricate anything.
Yeah.
If you don't want me to call you a bitch, don't be a bitch.
Facts. Don't be a bitch.
Simple.
Shit. If you could write one letter to your younger son before fame, what would it be?
Enjoy every second. Mm-hmm. Enjoy every second. Don't take anything for granted, and just really live in the appreciation of everything, man.
Yeah.
Because every breath is all a gift.
Yeah. We can end it in moment.
You know how many classmates that I've lost, how many friends, and at 50, I still feel young. But what I've noticed is that as we get older, we're just going to continue to lose more people. Mm-hmm. So I tell everybody that I know I love them. And I do that because I generally love and believe in people.
Yeah.
I love people that are complete strangers, because I'm very energy driven. I've always been super intuitive. And, a lot of times I start talking, I don't even know what I'm saying because my spirit takes over.
Yeah.
I read rooms well, I can read people well. And, man, my son has the same gift. And, man, I just want to inspire just the belief in self, man, and that it's never the end of the world till it's the end of the world.
Yeah. I love that saying. How did it feel to see your son achieve success in this music industry?
Oh man, it's exciting for me, but again, I expected it. I told him since day one, I was like, son, you just need people to hear it. You just need people to hear it.
What's your favorite Mexican MC song?
Damn.
Got him. Got him.
My first one that I was just sprung out on was man, there's so many, bro. To me, everything's a hit that he does. But I'm his biggest fan, So.
Yeah. Is that the only thing you play, or other artists?
Primarily, I fucking through all workouts, I'm jamming my son.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Through the whole workout, so Child's Play, like Father, like Son. Obviously, that's one of my favorites because that song's about me. Scales is one of my other favorites.
Hold On Screw is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Johnny Dang.
Hold On Screw is one of his first songs.
Yeah. Yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the other one?
La Cobra.
La Cobra with Jody. Yeah.
Would you ever hop on a track, bro?
No.
Be a feature? Or appear in a music video?
Yeah. Well, I've been in several of his videos.
Yeah?
They're like, most of the time, they're like, you can't dance enough, so just go work out in the back, bro. I said, I can do that.
Yeah. Shit. Favorite rapper of all time is obviously your son, right?
You know what? My favorite group of all time was Ghetto Boys. That's what I grew up on. But I grew up because I grew up rocking too. Me and my son listen to more country and rock than rap, really. Mm-hmm.
Can you bring that book over?
I got you.
What do you do when you're not supporting OT? I know.
Promote it.
Bath.
Promote. Yeah.
Promote.
Because I try to share my son with everybody because I feel like I'm giving them documents,
Yeah. 2 hoses over here.
Yes. How much time we got left on it?
How much time y'all got?
Cut pretty close.
10 minutes.
10 minutes, but got any crazies about OT that the world hasn't heard? Hey, bring the tips, please.
Alright.
So let me say that again. Sorry, guys. Got any crazy stories about OT that the world hasn't heard yet?
Nothing that I'm gonna talk about.
Good stories.
Yeah, man, he's finding his way to a business full of snakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of snakes, bro. I'm telling you.
Well, it's unfortunate, man, because my son doesn't do anything for money. You know, like he doesn't do music for money. Money's just a perk, you know? And it's just unfortunate to watch people take advantage of him and me not be able to do anything about it, you know?
Like, it's hard working in an industry like this. Man. Do you
It doesn't
think
take bad.
his Mexican Southern roots play a big role in his style?
I mean, I think our whole culture plays a role in his whole style. You know, it's just my son's just being himself. You know, it's just it is what it is. I remember I gave him a pair of fucking $600 ostrich boots, and I went to go pick him up at his homeboy's house, and they were running around on gravel road playing football. I'm like, dude. You know, I don't know. He's always had boots, and you know, he's had his own swag, man. You know, like he just let him have it. You know, and then like he's turned it into something. You know, when you got people trying to dress like your son for Halloween, and like my barber was like, dude, kid after kid after kid after kid. It's like even before my son was really that Mexican OT, they were like, can you cut my hair like this? And my barber's like, man, every kid showing me your son's hair. Man, that's pretty cool.
The last thing, 3 big facts about yourself that nobody knows and that you want people to know about you.
Man, I'm a healer. I'm not as intimidating as I look, and I definitely don't try to be as intimidating as I look. And like I really love humanity. And I would rather invest in a person over any dollar any day.
Yeah.
I'll stop my life to try to help people.
Yeah.
And it's been a reward at times, it's been heartbreaking at times. But you know what? I'll still try.
Yeah. Fuck that.
Real quick, 5 things I cannot live without. Good nutrition,
Facts.
fitness, a comfortable bed, because rest is just as important as work. I can't live without effort, maximum effort in my own life, and a warm body to sleep next to every night.
Yeah. Well, we got kind of short, guys. We got some things to do. Shout out to Chuck, aka Mexican OT's dad, Carlos Moreno.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for coming on, bro. Show love.
Thank you.
Yeah, I put his Instagram and his contacts in the description. Thank you, guys. Shit, we done.